Vanessa Warwick here with Property Tribes TV and another Landlord interview. And today I'm joined by Paul Routledge, and many of you know Paul as the founder of Landlord Referencing Services. But today, Paul, you're going to wear your landlord hat and we're going to talk a little bit about your career in property. So tell me, when did you first get involved in property?
98 was the first time I really bought property to rent out, but probably been involved with the development side of it for 4 years before that. I built a house, so seriously as a landlord in 1998.
Fantastic. Now, you have got quite a substantial property portfolio and you've had a very specific strategy. Tell us how you've built your portfolio.
Well, we bought the first ones before or towards the end of the last recession, as we were getting towards the end of it. Basically, we bought blocks and spent time developing them, tearing them out and rebuilding them again into flats. They're all old seaside towns and churches and what have you. And then we took a long-term view on it that it was probably better to hold on to them. So we transferred them from our development portfolio into our letting portfolio and started to let them. And every time we built a new one, bought a new one, and then continued to let them out until we accumulated what we have today.
Now, we're actually in your headquarters at LRS, and this building that we're sitting in now is actually a good example of the type of project that you take on. Tell us what goes on in this building.
Well, this was originally a hotel, and we bought it about 8 years ago. And ran it as a HMO for quite a few years. In the end, it wasn't profitable enough. There was too much damage in the property, so we decided to close it. Made an application to turn it into 15 flats. At the time, there's a pub down here which we didn't own, and then realised that if we were going to do such a development on such a grand scale, that we would have to buy the pub, because obviously we didn't want issues with right of light, access, etc. So we bought the pub, did the conversion upstairs into the 15 luxury flats, very nice now, and ran the pub during the period. Unfortunately, like every pub, we lost massive amount of money and went through more managers that drank our stock, and so we decided that when we started LRS we needed more space, so we took our letting office from a local a street down the road, brought it over here, put the letting office up there and turned it downstairs here into LRS's offices.
So you live sort of cheek by jowl with your tenants in a way, because you can see them every day in this
instance. I mean,
we've
got, we own this block here, which we've got 15 upstairs. We own the one next door, which has got 14. Originally had 17, but we shut down the back end of it for redevelopment. And we own the building opposite the pier, the new pier in Weston. The upper level's on a 999-year lease, and we've got 17 one-beds up there, which we recently finished refurbishing as well. So they're lovely because they've got double and triple aspect of the sea and the pier and everything else. So yeah.
And you actually have a company that manages your properties for you, a letting agent, don't you? So you've got complete control over your entire portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, we have a company which is Cadogan House Commercial, which is the maintenance and development side of it. So that looks after all of the maintenance and development right across the board of the portfolio. And Cadogan House Investment Properties, we trade that upstairs, and we literally only use it as our own estate agency to look after and let out our own properties, which deals with tenant liaison and all that sort of stuff. It's a full-time job.
I can believe it. Now, you are a great advocate of buying local, aren't you? Because we're in Weston Super Mare as we speak, and all your properties are within what radius of where we're sat?
Oh, the furthest one is a church which I've converted out on the Locking Road, and that's probably 3/4 of a mile away.
Fantastic.
And we bought that off the diocese about 5 years ago, and converted that into 13 flats, I think. I remember rightly.
So you feel that the best way for you to deal with your portfolio is to have it within 10 minutes of you?
It's good for us because it gives us the opportunity to be able to manage everybody on a close scale.
And you know the area very well.
I mean, we're very hands-on landlords. I mean, as you can see, we've got our own side of the company which looks after them all, and we've also got the letting agent, so we're really hands-on, and our tenants are sort of part of a big family. where we look after them. I've never been one that wanted to particularly have tenants far away because I'm not a control freak, but I don't like to be out of control of my own destiny. And I think that a lot of people can do that. I'm just one of these people that like it all around me. And it gives me the opportunity to work with them and make better places, you know. But that's just our choice, really.
Yeah. No, you've seen all sides of being a landlord and all sides of tenant life, and something happened that actually inspired you to start LRS. What was it?
Well, I think it was about 18, 19 months ago. I got a telephone call saying that there was a problem in one of the properties that we own. I got my son to run me over there. I went over to the property. The person who had made the complaint had given me a different number of the flat. But because we owned the block, there was a door open, and I entered this one flat to the door and called out, was anybody there, was anybody there? Carried on through down the hallway, got into the lounge, and as I walked into the lounge, there was two guys sitting down and one guy standing over by the sink. And I said, what's happening here? It was obvious that there was a drug deal going on. I told them to get out. With that, the one guy who was standing by the sink jumped over, had got a knife off the sink and stabbed me in the head 5 times. A big fight ensued, and basically, long and short is he left me for dead on the staircase. That coupled with the legislation that was around regarding tenancy, and there was no way we could ever get our money out of people, etc., etc. I thought, well, we've got to do something about this. Somebody has got to do something about this. And I was driven to try and find a way to do it. And after studying the ICO and everything else, worked out that there was a way, and that was through network referencing.
Yeah, so, landlords supporting each other.
Yeah, just absolutely. I mean, that's what network referencing is all about. You know, we take the network side of it, and we take the reference side of it, and we put them together, and landlords can now trade information with one another. Between one another through a website that you know, they can tell one another about their tenants and what have you.
So with all your years of experience, just to finish, what would be the one bit of advice you would give to new landlords coming into the property arena? Well,
I recently wrote a blog on protocols and crossing T's and dotting I's.
Belts and braces.
Belts and braces all the way. Don't try and do things yourself. Don't try and carry out an inventory and ask them. Get it done professionally. Make sure that your properties are up together before a tenant moves in. An unhappy tenant is an unpaying tenant. It's as simple as that.
Totally agree.
You know, and if you try and do it on the cheap, it won't work. You'll just be the victim of another tenant running off and eventually lose your property. And if you anything you say to a tenant, write down. Anything you discuss with tenants, make sure you give them an invoice for their rents they've paid. It literally is just belts and braces, crossing T's, dotting I's, and being professional about it, and making sure that if you are ever called upon in a courtroom to either defend the situation, or to gain judgment on a situation, you have hard evidence, and there's absolutely no point as a landlord, and we see it all the time, he said, she said, and that's the way they protect themselves. And you protect yourself at the outset of a tenancy, not halfway through it, and certainly not at the end.
Oh, well, that's brilliant, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been lovely talking to you and hearing your story and your property journey, because it's very, very different to mine. And I think sometimes we need to put ourselves in each other's shoes and see different aspects of the industry, because at some point, somewhere down the line, we are going to get a bad tenant, and we need to know how to deal with that. So thank you very much. That's Paul Routledge, landlord, based in Weston Super Mare, beautiful seaside town, and you've been watching Property Tribes TV. Thank you very much for joining us.